What's the difference between while and during? We're gonna find out together today. Hello and welcome to English Speaking 360. Today we're going to compare confusing words, these words right here. We use during and throughout when we are talking about one action within a time frame, like you can see in the diagram. On the other hand, we use while, as, and meanwhile for two actions taking place at the same time. But don't worry, I'm going to explain this very well in the video. Here's a short quiz to test your knowledge. Right or wrong? I talked to her during she was working. I stayed inside throughout it was raining. Jane smiled while watching the movie. I sang as walking to the park. He drove meanwhile it was raining. You're going to get the answers in the video, of course. Let's start with the easiest one, during. Now, the first thing you have to know is that there are two ways to pronounce it. You can say during, or like I say it, during, j. During is always followed by a noun or a noun phrase. For example, I'm gonna go camping during the summer. The summer is your noun, so during is followed by a noun. The summer is a noun phrase. There is no verb after during. It refers to an action happening within a time frame or an event. Here's the diagram to help you understand. I'm gonna go camping is your action, and the time frame is the summer. The summer is a time, June, July, and August. Here's another example. She cried during her friend's wedding. Her friend's wedding is your noun here, and her friend's wedding is a noun phrase. So it's the same thing here. She cried during her friend's wedding. Let's take a second look at our short quiz. I talked to her during she was working. Is it right or is it wrong? If you say it's wrong, you are right, because during is always followed by a noun, and here you have a clause. She was working is a verb, and you cannot have a verb after during. During has a brother. Throughout. Throughout is always followed by a noun or noun phrase also. So here's an example. It rained throughout the night. In this sentence, night is the noun, the night is the noun phrase. It refers to a repeated or non-stop action. Now this is different from during. Throughout is a repeated or non-stop action. Here's the diagram. Here's your action. It rained. It rained and it rained and it rained and it rained. A repeated action throughout the night. So the night is your time. Or it could also be a non-stop action. It started raining at 7 p.m. at the same time as the night started, or 8 p.m., and it kept on raining non-stop until the morning. So it rained throughout the night. So we use throughout when we really want to focus on the action happening non-stop or repeated many times during a certain time or during a certain event. Here's another example. The theme song was played throughout the festival. So imagine you go to a cherry blossom festival in Japan, and during the festival there is a theme song, the theme song of the festival with cute anime characters. And that song is played over and over and over again throughout the festival. Let's take another look at our short quiz. I stayed inside throughout it was raining. Is it right or is it wrong? Once again, it is wrong because throughout is always followed by a noun. And here, it was raining is a clause. There is a verb here, so it's not a noun. It doesn't work. Now let's recap. During and throughout are both followed by noun or noun phrases. Okay, I'm gonna go camping during the summer. At some point during the summer, I'm gonna go camping. Whereas throughout, it rained throughout the night. It shows that it's something that is happening continuously over the entire period. We're doing well. Next, while. While is followed by a clause, not a noun. A clause is a subject plus a verb. For example, I worked on the report while you were sleeping. Okay, you were sleeping is a clause. You is the subject, were sleeping the verb. So you were sleeping is your clause. We use while when we want to emphasize two actions happening at the same time. I worked on the report while you were sleeping, happening at the same time. Here's the diagram to help you. I worked on the report, action 1, while you were sleeping, action 2. But be careful here because while can also be followed by a present participle, an ing verb. Here's an example. I hurt my knee while playing soccer. In this case, playing ing is your present participle. So here's the diagram. I hurt my knee while I was playing soccer. So the long action was playing soccer, and hurting my knee is action number 1, but hurting my knee is a short action, whereas playing soccer was a long action. Now, in the previous example, I worked on the report while you were sleeping. Action 1 was a long action, and action 2 was also a long action. But in the second example, you have a short action happening during a longer action. Now you should get this one right. Jane smiled while watching the movie. Right or wrong? This one is right. While is followed by a clause or an ing verb right here, while watching the movie. While has a twin. The twin is as. As is also followed by a clause. So here's an example. He listened to music as he worked on his project. Okay, he worked on his project is your clause. It emphasizes two actions happening at the same time, same as while. Here's the diagram. So he listened to music as he worked on his project. Two simultaneous actions. But it could also be this. She entered the bathroom as I was taking a shower. For this one, the diagram is a little bit different. Action 1, she entered the bathroom. It's a short action. As I was taking a shower, action 2 is the long action. Be careful though, because as is never followed by an ing verb, a present participle. It does not work. You cannot say she entered the bathroom as taking a shower. That doesn't work. It can be followed by an ing clause, a clause with an ing verb, a past progressive, for example, was taking. That's okay, but a present participle does not work. This is an easy one. I sang as walking to the park. Right or wrong? I just explained it to you, so this one is wrong because as is followed by a clause, never by an ing verb. Here, I sang as I was walking to the park would be a good sentence. It would be right. But I sang as walking, it does not work. Now let's recap. While and as are both used for simultaneous actions, actions happening at the same time. For example, I worked on the report while you were sleeping. He listened to music as he worked on his project. Be careful here because with while you can use the present participle, but with as you cannot use the present participle. That is the difference. Last but not least, meanwhile. Now, meanwhile is a slightly formal word, so we don't use it very much. You will see it very often in writing. So the reason why I'm giving it to you here is that this word is used very often in tests, like the TOEIC test or the TOEFL test or the IELTS test. So that's why it's important to know it. Meanwhile is used at the beginning of a sentence, so you need two separate sentences. Two actions happening at the same time. And the two actions are usually done in different places or by different people. Here's an example. She went grocery shopping. Meanwhile, I cleaned the house. That's a strange way to clean the house, but I mean, whatever floats your boat. So here's your diagram. She went grocery shopping. Meanwhile, I cleaned the house. Action 1 and action 2 happening at the same time, but two separate sentences because they are done in different places and they're also done by different people. Here's a second example. They were arguing. Meanwhile, the baby was sleeping peacefully. Two actions happening at the same time, two sentences done in different places, or it could be in the same place, but they are done by different people. Last question. He drove meanwhile it was raining. This one is an easy one. What do you say? Of course, this one is totally wrong because meanwhile requires two sentences. In this case, it's in the same sentence. It does not work. Here's the full summary for you. During and throughout are very, very similar, but during is at some point, whereas throughout is continuously. Both of them are followed by the same, by a noun. He took notes during the meeting. He took notes throughout the meeting. Now, do you see the difference? He took notes during the meeting. At some point during the meeting, he took notes, but he took notes throughout the meeting. You really want to emphasize that the guy was on the ball. He had his pen on fire because he was taking notes throughout the meeting, from the very beginning until the very end. While and as are also similar. They are used for simultaneous actions. Clause plus present participle, but as is followed by a clause. I prepared dinner while listening to music. That is your present participle, the ing form. I prepared dinner as I listened to music. So with as, you cannot have an ing. So you cannot say, I prepared dinner as listening to music. It does not work. Meanwhile, at the same time, different places, different people, two separate sentences, so it starts a new sentence. We were stuck in traffic. Meanwhile, the train arrived at the station. We were stuck in traffic on the road, and meanwhile, at the station, the train arrived. It's quiz time. Now test yourself. We'll see if you're really good. He fell asleep. The movie. Here are your choices. Think about it carefully. The movie. Movie is a noun. The movie is a noun phrase. You ready? He fell asleep during the movie. During is at some point during a specific event. In this case, a movie is an event. A movie could also be a length of time. Question 2. The guy in the aisle seat slept the flight, so I couldn't go to the bathroom. Oh my God, this is torture. Look at the guy. He's just staring at the ceiling and he's like, I want to go to the bathroom. I want to go to the bathroom. But he couldn't go because the guy in the aisle seat was sleeping. So which word would you put there? So remember here, the flight is a noun. So that's going to help you a lot. The guy in the aisle seat slept throughout the flight, so I couldn't go to the bathroom. The guy slept throughout the flight, so the sleeping action was taking place from the very beginning until the very end of the flight, so that's why he couldn't go to the bathroom. Question 3. My coworkers were working hard. I was relaxing on a beach. Make your choice. This one should be easy because you have 2 sentences. Meanwhile, of course, my coworkers were working hard. Meanwhile, I was relaxing on a beach. Action 1, action 2 taking place at the same time, but 2 different sentences. Question 4. We chatted waiting for the bus. Think about it. We chatted while waiting for the bus. So 2 actions happening at the same time, but waiting is a present participle, so you cannot use as. We chatted as waiting for the bus doesn't work. Question 5. She smiled. She read the letter. She smiled as she read the letter, or she smiled while she read the letter. In this case, 2 actions happening at the same time. She read the letter is a clause, so you can use as or you can use while. Question 6. We could see lightning the night. All right, think about your answer. The night is a noun. We could see lightning during the night, or we could see lightning throughout the night. Both of them are right. It depends on what you mean. During means that at some point during the night, there was lightning. Whereas throughout means that there was a lot of lightning from the beginning of the night until the end of the night. Throughout the night, there was a lot of lightning in the sky. Question 7. Someone called for you. You were out. So you see the little lady is answering the phone. Sorry, he just stepped out. So he's not at the office right now. What word would you put in the blank? Someone called you while you were out. While is the right answer because it's a short action. Someone called you while you were out. But watch out here because be out is a state, and that's why you can only use while. If it wasn't a state, then you could use as. Someone called for you as you were getting into the elevator. That would work. But in this case, be out is a state, so you must use while. Question 8. I worked at a cafe the summer vacation. Think about it. I worked at a cafe during the summer vacation, which makes sense. It's a shorter action, probably not during the whole summer vacation. So at some point during the summer vacation, I worked at a cafe. In this case, the summer vacation is a noun phrase, so that's why you have to use during. You could also say throughout, but then the diagram would be different. In this case, the working at the cafe action would last the whole summer vacation. So if you really want to say that you worked from the very beginning of the summer vacation until the very end of the summer vacation, you could say throughout the summer vacation. But to be honest, during sounds more natural. I worked at a cafe during the summer vacation. Great! Hey, do you need more practice on this? If you do, go to my website because you can see the video one more time with explanations in writing, so you can copy them if you want, and you're gonna get extra activities to help you practice, and that is so important. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.